Hello, this is Jwlhyfer, and this is the Gothic Bohemian Salon. Welcome. I wanted to talk about what it's like to be in a wheelchair. The reason why I wanted to talk about this is because it's probably something that most people won't have an experience of and don't know much, if anything, about. And also I wanted to help people understand how they could be more polite and accommodating to people in wheelchairs or with other disabilities. Perhaps make it a bit less awkward and just put things on a more even keel. First of all, just because I'm in a wheelchair, it doesn't mean that I cannot stand up or walk a little bit. So it doesn't mean that I'm trying to fool anybody by being in a wheelchair if you see me stand up at some other time or you see me walk. I can only stand or walk for a short period of time. Now, of course, there are other people that cannot stand up or walk and are kind of stuck in a wheelchair all the time, but that's just not always the case. So keep that in mind when you see somebody standing up who's been in a wheelchair. Doesn't mean like that they're trying to pull some sort of scam. Secondly, if somebody's parked in a disabled parking space and they have no visible disability, don't assume that they're trying to scam anything either. They could have a hidden disability such as cancer, fibromyalgia, ME, or a myriad of other problems, arthritis, hepatitis, etc., which makes them either fatigued or in a lot of pain or unable to move very easily, and their disabled placard is just as legitimate as somebody who's in a wheelchair. So disability comes in a lot of different forms and it doesn't always look the same. Another thing is, just because I have makeup on and I'm wearing nice clothes, that doesn't mean that I'm better. It also doesn't mean I'm better if you call me and I sound more energized, more excited, happier, or any of the above. It just means that I sound a little better. It seems like people are constantly trying to make you, they're uncomfortable with you being ill, so they're constantly trying to make you feel like things must be better, or they're just trying to see some sign that you're not sick anymore or that things are better with you. I've come to accept that I'm ill. That doesn't mean that I've given up or that I'm not actively pursuing ways of getting better. It just means that I'm not being unrealistic about it. And just because I look nice or sound good, it doesn't mean that I'm better. And when you say, oh, but you sound good, or oh, but you look great, or oh, but you look better, it kind of invalidates my experience and also just kind of annoys me, because it's not the way that I look that matters, and it's not the way that I sound that matters. It's the way that I feel. And I can put on a brave face as well as anybody. I can put on a pretty face as well as anybody. And that's another thing. Who said that people in wheelchairs can't look whatever way that they want to? Is there some law that says that I have to be badly dressed and have no makeup on and have some kind of terrible clothing sense just because I'm stuck in a wheelchair now. I mean, I'm me, you know. I'm not going to suddenly change and become a slob just because I'm in a wheelchair. Another thing that really bothers me is when people give me a pitying smile. I've seen this smile a lot, and it's really infuriating. Basically, it's the kind of smile that you give somebody which sort of says something like, "Oh, how nice. She got out of the house. It must be so good for her to be able to do that. Well, I'm going to give her the benevolence of my smile and try to give her a token of real human contact, because I'm sure that she must not get much of that, and you know, and I'm a great person, so I'm going to smile at her." It's really obvious what it is that you're thinking, and that you're smiling for your own benefit and not for mine. It's a lot different to just get a regular smile from somebody and a condescending smile. So if you're going to smile at somebody in a wheelchair, make sure that you're doing it in such a way that it's not a pitying or condescending kind of a smile. I can't tell you how annoying that is. Also, you don't need to stare. There's nothing really to look at. Don't try to figure out what it is that's wrong with me. Don't check out my legs to see if there's some deformity. I mean, you also don't need to avoid looking at me. And that's one thing that's even worse, actually, is just totally ignoring that I'm even there, to the point of actually bumping into me, or having some kind of unintended physical contact because you were trying so hard not to look that, you know, you got tangled up in some way. It's really just wrong. Wrong. I'm just a human being. I just happen to be in a wheelchair. That doesn't mean that there's anything more or less human about me. And I'm not some creature from, you know, outer space or something. I'm a human being, and I probably spend my days not that much different from you. So don't treat me like I'm that much different. Now, I don't mind if somebody asks me if they can help, because often I do need help. I mean, I don't really have the kind of physical strength or support that some other people have who are in chairs. So just because I got out of the house, it doesn't mean that I'm doing that great getting around, or not bumping into things, or being able to reach something on a top shelf or whatever. But some people really don't like to be asked if they need help, because they figure that you should have figured out that if they're out and about, they're self-sufficient and they don't need your help, and they find it to be rude and condescending to be talked to in that way. So be careful. You know, try to suss out if the person really maybe needs the help or not. I imagine that you can tell a little bit by the way somebody looks as to whether they need help or not, or at least, you know, you can tell how much they're struggling to try to do something. Now, you'd think that people would be a little bit more polite if somebody's in a wheelchair, but people get annoyed and impatient and irritated just because we're there sometimes. Other people that need to use elevators, for example, get really irritated sometimes if they have to wait for another elevator. And another thing, when they get in the elevator with you, there's this awkwardness a lot of the time if they're not disabled. You know, if they have a bicycle or just a kid in a stroller or something like that, it's like you have some sort of disease that they might catch if they get into the elevator with you. I don't have anything that you're going to catch, you know. I'd wear a mask over my face if I did, and I probably wouldn't be able to be going out of my house if I had anything like that. So don't treat me like I'm some kind of diseased leper, okay? Just get in the damn elevator, get to where you need to be going, and treat me like a normal human being. That's all I really ask. And, you know, if I'm trying to get down the ramp part of the sidewalk, could you please be aware enough to get the hell out of the way? You don't need that ramp, but I do, and I need the widest, most secure part of it. So stepping a little bit to the side and giving me a tiny little bit of room isn't really good enough. Get the hell out of the way. I can't tell you how difficult it is to deal with some of the ramps in Oakland and Berkeley. They're treacherous, and if you're not in the center of it, you can get pivoted off to the side and fall right off the curb. So naturally, I'm going to want to get in the center of the ramp. And if you're standing there, you know, talking on your phone or talking to friends or just being oblivious, I'm stuck in the street, you know, trying to figure out how I'm going to get around you. Okay, well, those are my pet peeves about being in a wheelchair. I hope it's helped. I don't mean to sound bitter or angry, but these are things that I've noticed and that I don't like. I hope that you will treat people in wheelchairs a little bit differently from now on. Treat them like human beings, because that's what they are. They're just like you and me. Well, obviously like me, but they're just like you as well. And they deserve your respect. And for God's sake, why would you get irritated at somebody in a wheelchair for taking up a little bit more time, you know, because they have to have the lift used for them to get onto the bus or something like that? I mean, think about it. You don't have to be in a wheelchair, but we do. It's not our fault that we're in a wheelchair, and it really does kind of mess up our lives a bit, you know? I mean, would you like to be in a wheelchair? So don't get all upset because, you know, there's a few more minutes taken to get us on the damn bus, you know? It's ridiculous. Okay, I think I'm done, so I'm going to end this now. Thank you for joining me in the Gothic Bohemian Salon. This didn't have much to do with anything Gothic, but it's something that I wanted to talk about anyway. I may bring it up again because it's kind of a sore subject with me, so bear with me, but this is my first video on it, and hopefully it has gotten through to some of you. Thanks a lot, and please like and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.